Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I am Violette de Ayala. I'm the founder of FemCity, and you're joining me today for our Wednesday Wisdom. It is our podcast that we actually live stream into Facebook and again into YouTube as well. I always invite amazing women that are inspirational, motivational to share their journey through finding their own passion and their alignment, purpose with their business. And today I have Jessica Bellinger. She's actually the founder of Best in Color. It is a vegan nail polish. I'll give her an opportunity to share a little bit more about her brand. And I'm so excited because I was telling Jessica in the green room that I was reading about your story on your website. And I'm a huge fan of Wes Anderson.
Oh, nice.
Huge. I mean, our entire family is obsessed with Wes Anderson. And so when I read in your about section on your website that the colors are inspired by his creations, I was like, I'm going to probably buy every color. I'm a nail polish girl, and we're huge, passionate family of plant-based living. So I'm really excited to get to know you and your founding story. So welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to share yourself with us today.
Of course. Yeah. I didn't even mean for like the Wes Anderson thing to become a thing, but it just kind of did. I was like slowly inspired. Like I just realized I was like replicating colors and like finding inspiration from like the movies already.
Yeah.
And, like, it ended up just like, I guess, making the most sense.
So you created the colors first, and then you were like, wow, how did that happen? Like, what was the inspiration? I'm fascinated because I've never met anyone who's actually created some with colors that I love. I mean, I'm obsessed. Yeah. Every screen that he uses is art. The colors are incredible. So how did that come about?
Yeah. So the colors are really important to me. I think I was more so like drawn to a color palette already that was really like, that he already used in his movies.
Yeah.
And as I was like looking through pictures to derive inspiration, I was looking at stills from his movies. Like, oh, I want that color that I see in this picture. And then it ended up just like kind of becoming a thing because like, I just realized that was the color palette I was already going towards, something that was more like muted and using like pastels and also like deeply saturated colors, like yellows, but not like just bright yellows, like deep like vintage yellows and vintage greens and stuff like that. Like not necessarily your like, I guess I would say like your candy inspired nail polish that's sometimes like really bright and like this is more like timeless, I felt, and his movies definitely have a very timeless look with the way that he films. He uses actual film, so he's not making movies with like digital cameras. He's using film cameras, and just like the way that the film replicates the colors in general, like natural colors, is a lot different than we see in digital cameras. And so I think I just really leaned towards that whole like timeless look.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The yellow that you have on the website, and you have a really yummy, like a burnt red. So I'm so excited over how you created it. So what was the story like when you created your brand? I mean, were you always, did you envision at what age that you would create a vegan nail polish? Like, what was that story about that led you into creating such an amazing business?
No, there was, it came at a whim. It was really weird. I had never thought nail polish. I would think maybe like fashion or jewelry was something I was always more interested in. I didn't know anything about cosmetics, and I never really had a desire to get into it. So and I still am, I'm a photographer. Pretty much I've been doing that for about 6 years. So that was like my first real business that I owned.
Okay.
I shoot like weddings and engagements and all sorts of like creative stuff. So I was always really into just making things pretty and like aesthetics. And then I just realized like, since that is a very service-based industry, I was traveling so much and I still am. And so I was really needing something that I could do from home so I could like alleviate like some of my work. I could do more at home and be home with my kids because I have 3 kids. So I was like, I want to start selling things online and I didn't know where to start. So I did product research. I took a workshop that helped me basically launch a business because I knew I wanted to launch something. I just didn't know what.
Okay.
And so I went into it like very intentionally, like what is a product that I can do well, that'll be separate, like where I can separate it from different products. that I can kind of innovate. And when I was just doing research, I just realized nail polish was something I could innovate well. And it was something I could make look really cool and exciting and something new. And I knew that, you know, if I did it, I would want it to be a really good one, not like some cheap nail polish. I wanted it to be, you know, healthier. I wanted it to be vegan for people who are vegan. I wanted to offer like an elevated product. So it's not the cheapest nail polish, but it's definitely the most thoughtful. Like I feel like it's very, everything is much more thoughtful. And we also have some of the girls or our customers have bought on certain days that we will set aside to put 50% of funds towards like nonprofits and stuff like that. We've raised money for girls in foster care.
Okay.
We've been able to send them like goodie bags of like nail products and like all sorts of like cosmetics and stuff. And we've raised money for some other things. So I definitely also focus on like that kind of stuff because that's really important to me. Is like helping out kids. And like when you have a business and people are willing to buy because they know part of the proceeds are going to something, I just felt like it was the right thing to do. Like if I have this kind of leverage, why not every once in a while, you know, give back to people?
I love that. And I love that you shared that. And I love, by the way, that you have a business and then you started another business. I love that you shared that part of your journey, because I think a lot of times people feel like if they have a business already running, that they might be pulled to start another business, but then there's that kind of like, conflict that they feel like I can't write, and especially a mom of 3 kids. So I'm really happy that you shared that aspect of that thinking process of launching the second one. And I love also the fact that you are purpose driven in your business. I think that's going to be a common theme for 2021 with businesses. I think that in the past, businesses have always been created, at least it looked like, for money, right? Like, how can I make the most money? I think that is a really beautiful trend that I'm really happy to see, that many are starting to create businesses and brands that give back, that have a mission, that have a purpose, that, it is more expensive, but you also have, it's healthier version. It's in a niche market for people that are okay with spending a couple dollars more for something that they believe in, that's in alignment with their own kind of connection to purpose and community, and that you give back also. I think that's really beautiful. And again, I think 2021, we've had a lot of spiritual advisors on our show, and they've all said 2021 is going to be more about creating businesses and brands that are in alignment with community, unity, and also paying it forward in whatever way they feel connected to. So I love that. I didn't even know that part about you. What are some moments where you were launching the second business that things didn't go as planned? And my intention in asking you that question is, we have a lot of femmes in our community, specifically after 2020, that things were a little bit rocky, and they might see brands like FemCity, like Best in Color, and think that it was always this beautiful journey of tremendous growth. What were some of those moments, or one moment where things didn't go as planned, and how did you get through that obstacle?
Well, this has happened so much. It's definitely been not the easiest thing, because going into it, I didn't know anything about selling things online. I think the hardest part is all the other things I need for the business, like designing boxes and getting those made. I think like a couple times I was designing boxes and I had all my nail polish and the boxes came in and they were all the wrong size. And so I could not send my nail polish in them. I had to wait another month for the boxes to come in to be able to launch certain colors. And that's happened about 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
On my end, because I was designing the boxes and I put the wrong sizes in. That actually recently just happened. We just launched these mini nail polishes, and I had some other things to launch with it, other mini nail polishes, and one of the box sizes came way too big. So I have to wait to launch that for like another few weeks until the boxes come in, which was really, really disappointing. So that's happened a few times. That's probably been the biggest pain in the butt, because then you have money you're just sitting on, like you can't even sell your product. And so you're running out of everything in your store. But I would say, the first 6 months were terrible. I went into it with no launch plan. So I really didn't know what I was doing. I was still doing photography really heavily. I had like no time to work on it, and I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. I got really lucky when I hired Carrie. I think she reached out to you about this.
Yes.
She did PR for me, and she has been a lifesaver. She's like just doing everything that I don't have time to do. So And sometimes I feel like I have a personal assistant because she's emailing people, helping me figure things out, scheduling things. It's been so, so helpful. I think that was a big game changer. And then I'm also outsourcing my marketing, like my ads. I ended up having another company do that. You just like have to get to a point where you realize like there's certain things you're not good at and you really, really need help. And even though I'm a small company, I was like, I can afford to hire these two people that can help me, and they really have. And but it still never goes as planned. Honestly, I mean, the first year was very hard. It's basically me reinvesting everything back into the business. You know, because I didn't have any investors. I didn't even have money saved up. I literally just like paid as I went, like buying my product and stuff like that. You know, I really started like grassroots. I had no plan, but I learned so much from that. And I also innovated as I went. Like, I mean, I was smart enough to figure out that I needed to hire someone for PR. Some people will run a business for 3 years and never get help from anywhere.
Right.
So I think that those things definitely helped me out, knowing when I just couldn't figure certain things out or I didn't have time, but they needed to get done. And then definitely, though, I still run into problems, especially when you're doing everything on your own. You're an entrepreneur. You're going to mess up a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I love that you mentioned about delegating, because that is a topic that comes up over and over again in our community, is that we have a lot of femmes that are either thinking about launching a business, or they're in the throes of starting a business, or maybe it's a second or third business, and they're holding on to that puppy. You know, they're holding on to it. And you as a creative, and I've seen your website with photography, your design is beautiful. That website is gorgeous. And your Best in Color is also beautiful as well. So I'm sure as a creative, having to let go of some of those aspects, because you could do it. You seem incredibly bright. So I'm sure you could do all of it, but recognizing that the growth is really in delegating some of these pieces that are not really your superhero talent, so that it gives you the leverage to go ahead and work on the business. And I think that's a great lesson there. For those that are watching or listening, that's a great lesson, because if you're struggling through that right now, you know, think about where your superhero talent is and what are those areas that you can just start small. You don't have to hire someone making, paying them $80,000 a year. Start off small. You can hire someone a couple hours a week, and then eventually, as money starts coming in, you can start adding more hours to that person who's helping you as a freelancer or as a consultant, like Carrie, like you mentioned. I was going to ask you what your biggest lesson was. I mean, I think that that's a pretty big lesson that you've learned. I think that's like one of the biggest lessons that I see a lot of femmes learn when they're building businesses. What's the biggest lesson you think you've learned in this process of launching that second business?
Lots of patience, especially if you're doing things on your own. And what I'm learning more about the cosmetic business, which is different from my photography business. You can really work up in photography, but like work your way up step by step. But with cosmetics, you kind of need a big break. Like you really need a big outlet to talk about you. You really need to get eyes on your product. And those are the kind of things that really, really benefit cosmetics and clothing and stuff like that. So that was something that was really, I realized that's when I hired Carrie, because I just realized that I needed someone to help me get eyes on my product. So she does PR. So she reaches out to like magazines and stuff like that for me, and different outlets like podcasts and stuff like that for my business. And so she also helps me with my book. I wrote a book. I don't know if I mentioned.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Let's talk about your book. Yeah. So let's hear. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to even mention.
Oh, no, that's okay. I almost forgot halfway through. I was like, wait a second. I also wrote a book, didn't I? But yeah, I wrote a book last year. So, this 2020, I guess it's already 2021. And it's about humility. It's called The Humility Paradox. And it basically is just what I learned, my accounts of humility through my life, how it basically brought me to this like overwhelming place of happiness, how it affected my businesses, my personal life, my relationships. It's basically like a workbook on how to be humble in a modern age. So it talks about humility in a much more like casual sense. It's not like a super overly religious book or anything like that. It's really down to earth. And I think it's kind of funny. I mean, like, it's definitely me talking. So, there's some dry humor in there. and it's easier to understand. It'll really get you where you're at. And then, of course, I talk about like my own personal accounts of humility and how, I basically like found pride in my life and had to fix it, and some, like embarrassing stories of, my teenage years and stuff like that. And so yeah, so in the midst of all of this, also launching the business, I also wrote a book at the same time. I'm doing photography, wrote and launched a book within about a year.
So do people ask you a lot about your time management? Because you have the 3 kids, you have your full-time gig, which is also successful. And then you started this, and then you wrote your book, and then it's a bestseller. So, how, I'm sure people ask you a lot, like, how do you do it all?
So it's not a bestseller. It's a bestseller in some categories. Amazon is really weird. It has like 1,000 categories.
Yeah.
So it was a bestseller in some categories. I can't even remember what. They were really off topic to what my book was actually about. It was like teenage social issues. And I was like, what? It's not, I'm an adult. It was an adult that wrote the book.
I get it. It was in the same way. Mine wasn't like the most bizarre. I mean, it's a self-help spiritual book, but when it hit, it was like really weird. It was, I think mine was also like young adult something or other. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I don't have any bad words in it. So maybe that's why it's.
Yeah, it is very strange. Time management.
Yeah. How are you balancing all that? I know that's not a question that I normally ask, but I'm sure femmes that are watching are like, how is she doing this? I mean, you're delegating. That's one thing that.
Well, what's really funny is I actually waste a lot of time. I waste a few hours a day doing nothing.
Which is a science, by the way. I've been reading a lot of articles in business journals that are saying that the science of doing nothing is actually quite productive.
It's really strange because I feel like I don't do schedules. I wing it all. Sometimes I make a list of like things I need to get done during the week, and by the grace of God, I somehow get those few things done. But there is no rhyme or reason. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people do talk about how they wake up and have schedules and do the same thing every day, and that has just never appealed to me. I've never been the kind of person who can do that.
Yeah.
It's always very sporadic. Just like when I get hypes of energy, I just work really, really hard through that point of energy. And then when it's done, it's done. And sometimes it's only a couple hours a day. But yeah, I've been terrible at it, but somehow I've gotten so much done. Even if you're only dedicating 2 or 3 hours a day to your work, if those are really, really productive times, you can get your work done. It depends what you're doing. I do it all from home. I think it'd be different if I had an office. I could probably focus better. But when I'm at home and I'm walking through my kitchen to get a drink and then I see the kitchen's a mess, it's really hard to focus on doing work because I'm like, I'm just going to clean this really quick. Yeah. And then I'm going to make a snack. And then, 5 hours later, I totally forget I have work to do.
Yeah. I can't, if my house is a mess, I mean, I work from home now as well. Like everybody, right? I think everyone in the world is working from home. I cannot, even if I know there's a plate in the sink far away from where I am, for some reason, that's probably some sort of crazy disorder, but I need to go clean it, make sure everything's put away. I can't have to start. My desk has to be like, at least like having some sort of order. So it's been challenging. I've got the groove of it now, but it was challenging at the beginning. What would you say to a femme who's listening right now? And perhaps they've been telling themselves that they can't do it. They had a rough 2020. They've got lots of kids, have a full-time gig. And they're really struggling to believe in themselves. What advice would you give to them to help inspire them to move forward?
I think it's just, really all a matter of will. It's what it was for me was realizing I had no choice. And if I want to make it to a certain point in my life, if I do want financial success and to be able to provide certain things for my kids, this was my only option. So once it became non-negotiable in my head, whether that was true or not, it's not my only option, but I made it my only option. And when I realized that this was the way I wanted my life to go, things just started to fall into place. I think it's more so like a mindset. Like you really need to like hone in on the fact that like this decision is non-negotiable. Like if you were doing something, there is no other option for you. And you really have to understand why. You have to understand like, yes, you can work a 9-to-5 job and make money, but that's not necessarily going to make you happy if you want to be home with your kids,
Right.
or you want to, maybe you hate going to work every day. I'm the kind of person, I don't like commuting places.
Yeah.
I don't like doing the same thing every day. I really like to be able to kind of flow freely and do, waste time at my house. So when I realized what kind of life I ideally wanted to live, you really got to get clear about that. And then you have to get clear about what are your options to be able to live that type of life. So for me, that was start a business. For others, maybe it's not starting a business. Maybe it is just working from home in general.
Right.
There are so many things, especially now with COVID, working from home, doing things online, or starting your own business. It is just like the best time in the world to start working from home or to start your own business for something online, like something with e-commerce. There's never a better time in history to innovate something that people use every day, but they can order to their house or they can get automated to them. Like, this is the best time for people who are innovative to come up with something new.
Yeah.
Even if it's something you never thought people would be buying to their house. Like, I'm trying to think, like grocery delivery. No, like something even more absurd. Like,
well, what I love about your brand also is, the other day I was watching a commercial for that bra. It's called like Lively or something like that. And I know there are a couple of brands that are new bra market kind of items, and they were founded by women, I think, as well. And I was like, how amazing! Like, who would have ever, like, I can only imagine, like, someone's like, you know what, I'm going to make bras. And then someone's like, well, you can get a bra anywhere. You can get a bra at Target. You can get a bra at Nordstrom. I mean, Victoria's Secret. Like, why would you create a bra? But it's amazing that these two other companies got started. They are branded a little bit different, different wording and things like that. And they're doing really well. And so I think a lot of times women will say, well, so-and-so, they already make pens, so I don't want to make pens. But I love that you dove right in. You saw there's nail polish everywhere, right? You dove in, you created it, you were passionate about it. The colors are amazing. I love the mission. I love even like the Wes Anderson, spin on that. And I love that because what it's really saying that there's so much opportunity for others out there. There's so much there that if you're listening and you feel like, well, I don't want to be a coach because there's already a lot of coaches, or I don't want to be a realtor. I don't want to be, the reality is that everyone has this uniqueness that when you present what you think is really special, there's a whole bunch of people that are waiting for it.
Right. I'm trying to think, there's been like so many random businesses that popped up that I'm like, wow, that is so new and innovative. And it almost sounds too crazy at first to work. And then they all of a sudden do. Yeah. Like, I think there's like the
smoothie. Daily Harvest is a perfect example. Daily Harvest. Right. I'm a huge smoothie person. I've been making smoothies, 25, 30 years of my life. I cannot believe I subscribe to this, and it sends me fruits and vegetables frozen in a cup. And I mean, like, how, and when it first came out, I was like, that is like for lazy people. Right. And here I am.
Priced, and then you're like, wow, this is like amazing. The best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I agree with you completely. So if you're out there listening to us and you have an idea, just move forward in it. Make it unique, make it your own. And you'll see there's always a group of people that are waiting for that uniqueness. I think that's what really makes it, at least for you, your brand, it stands out to me. And I'm so happy. I'm cheering on your success for what you've accomplished and what I think you're going to really accomplish as we get into more of 2021 and of course the future. I think it's beautiful. I think you've packaged it perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah. And we're working on some really big things right now that I kind of have to keep under wraps, but I've been so excited this week.
That is great.
Possibly there might be an opportunity, because right now we're in Urban Outfitters online store. And once we got in their online store, and it's only seasonal, it's only online. So, but it opened up the door for a lot of other things. And so I'm hoping 2021 is going to be like the year for us.
I think it's going to be a good year for you.
The right business or the right online platform. We'll talk about our brand. And again, it's all about like a big break. I don't know why. Cosmetics and fashion is just like that. You got to get popular. You got to, beat people out pretty much. And
you're on your way. I see it in your future already, even before, especially if you can't say it now, that means you're really talking to some big people. So I'm really excited for you. I can see it everywhere.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's what
it will work. It will work out beautifully. How can femmes connect with you to learn more about your book or your nail polish, your photography, all those things? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I have like a lot of Instagram accounts. I have like personal ones for my books, my podcast. So my nail polish Instagram is Bess in Color, Bess BESS and color, just like it sounds. My personal one, which has links to like my podcast, my book Instagram, my photography Instagram. That one is Jessica_Bellinger_.
Okay.
That's kind of like a easier way to kind of go and find all my other Instagrams. And then my website is jessicabellinger.com. And it has like two separate parts. You can go into like the photography part of my website or like the author, book, entrepreneur part of my website. Yeah, that's where I hang out.
Love it. Well, congratulations. For those that are listening or watching, check it out. I fell in love with it. I've been using formaldehyde-free nail polish for a couple of years now. So I'm so excited that there are more for us out there. Congratulations, Jessica. Wishing you all the best success for 2021. Stay in touch. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.